Hello everyone, welcome to Discover Eats. My name is Taylor West and today we're going to be making a homemade breakfast sandwich. Very much like the traditional all-American sandwich that you would get from McDonald's, except we're going to be making it at home today. So we're first going to start off with our bread. And we're going to be using biscuits today, but you can really use whatever type of bread you want, whether that's just basic sandwich bread or if you want to use croissants, it's totally up to you. I like biscuits because it has that round shape, which is going to be similar to the shape of our egg, so everything's going to stack up very nicely and very neatly when we kind of assemble everything. For our meat, we're going to be using bacon today. You can swap this out for ham, you can swap this out for sausage, whatever you like. And then we are also going to be using normal American cheese that's going to be melted on top of it. So, and then obviously we're going to be using eggs as well today, but in order to take the sandwich up to the next level, we will be using our homemade mayonnaise. So we actually did this last week on the show. If you go to our YouTube channel, you can see the recipe there of how to make homemade mayonnaise. Really just eggs and oil whisked together, but we have that, so we're going to be using it for our egg sandwich today. And then on top of that, we're going to be using our cherry tomatoes. Now, we're using cherry tomatoes because that's what we have growing in our backyard. But if you just want to use a normal, round, basic tomato, slice it up, put it on top, that works great as well. Or you can use the cherry tomatoes to add to your breakfast sandwich. Now, I'm a huge fan of basil. So we have an herb garden in the back. I just plucked a couple leaves here that we're going to be adding to the top of it. And it really gives it that freshness flavor to it. But you can replace this with lettuce, whatever you like to put on top. Now, one of the biggest important factors to me for a great egg sandwich is going to be the shape of the egg. You want it nice and round. If you just kind of crack the egg and do a fried egg or sunny side up, whatever, you're going to get a very thin egg, or you're going to get an egg that doesn't quite fit perfectly on top of your round biscuit. So it's going to have kind of an oval shape. The sides are going to be inconsistent. If you do scrambled eggs, then when you add it to it and bite into it, it's going to kind of fall all over the place. So what we're going to be using today is the top of a mason jar. Now you can go out and you can buy a professional tool, cooking utensil that does the very same thing, but as a novice home cook. We're going to be using this. I just kind of have this laying around. And what we're going to do is, before we put it into the pan, we're going to line it with olive oil on the outside and on the inside. We're then going to put it into the pan. We're going to crack the egg into it and let it cook. And when we pull it out, it's going to slide right out, right on top of our biscuit. You're going to have this perfectly round egg that sits on top of your perfectly round biscuit. That way everything is kind of organized and tight when you bite into it. So we're going to go ahead and get it started. We're going to start off with our biscuit and our bacon, and then we're going to assemble everything else afterwards. Let's go do it. Alright, starting off with the bacon and the biscuits, I have two pans here. I have oiled them, and I put the biscuits in one pan and I put the bacon in the other pan. Now, I like to cook my bacon in the oven. You can do it stovetop. I just like it because it comes out a little bit more flexible. It doesn't have that crisp to it, which I like, but you can really cook it however you like it to your preference. So we're going to put them in both at the same time. The biscuits are going to go in at 325 for about 15 minutes or so, and then when they're done, we're going to pull these out, let the baking continue for about another 10 minutes. We're going to raise the heat level up to about 350, 375, and then we're going to let the bacon finish. And while that's finishing out, we're going to get started on our eggs. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this right into the oven. Just like that, and then we're going to give it about 15 minutes and we're going to come back and check on our biscuits. Alright guys, we have everything done now. The bacon is out, it's resting in paper towels, letting that oil dry off of it. And then we also have our biscuits done. So next we're going to start cooking our eggs. But before we get to that, we want to make sure that once we pull the egg off, that the sandwich is ready and assembled. So what I've done here is I've already cut it in half. You can see that I put the cheese on there as well. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to get some of that mayonnaise going, and we're going to put a thin layer right on top of the top piece. So I'm just going to get a little glop there, put it right on top to prep the sandwich. That way, when the egg is done, I can put it right on top of there. So I'm going to put that off to the side there. There we go. Okay, now the next step is to oil the actual mason jar head. We want it very oiled up so that way the egg doesn't stick to it. So what I'm going to do is I have a paper towel here. I'm going to take some olive oil And I kind of just do it right over the pan. That way if any additional oil gets over it, it's gonna go right into that pan. But I'm gonna give a pretty good, decent helping of it right on there. And I'm just gonna take this and put it right in the middle, and I'm just gonna kind of pull it through, just like that. And as you start to pull it through, you'll see that the oil is right on top of it. And I got a good, nice layer there. And I'm gonna put that right into there. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. Now, my pan is heating up here. We got that going. I'm gonna grab a knife real quick. And I'm just gonna take a stick of butter, take a little piece of it, and I'm gonna put it right into the middle there. Let that melt and get nice and hot there. We're gonna let that melt there a little bit. What I am gonna do in the meantime is I'm gonna take some salt. I'm gonna put some right into the middle of it. And then I'm also gonna take some cracked black pepper. We do crush it up fresh. I'm gonna put it right into there. And there you go. You kind of hear the sizzling going on already. Now, the key here is that you want your pan really, really hot, because if it isn't hot enough, it's not going to glue the egg together right away. What's going to happen is that the egg is going to start to bleed out. So you want to make sure that you have a pretty hot pan. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, I'm going to crack the egg, I'm going to put it right into there. And immediately, you can already see that the egg is starting to get a nice white color. Now what I am going to do is I'm just going to take my little tongs here, and I'm going to break up that egg yolk. I like to have it kind of be mixed together. You can leave it if you want. There we go. Let me wash this off. Alright, so it's going to take it about a minute or two. Now what I would recommend is taking a pan top, put it on top and add a little bit of water so it starts to steam it. So we'll be back in just a minute to see a finished egg. Alright, so the egg is coming out really nicely. I don't have any bleeding around it. If I take my tongs, I can even move it a little bit and everything moves quite nice. You just want to kind of make sure that it doesn't stick together. Now I am going to take a little bit of water here. I'm going to get some steaming action going on. I'm going to place this right over it to get any spattering from happening. And what that's going to do is the steam is now going to start to cook the top of the egg. That way you don't have to flip it, you don't have to pull it out of the actual mason jar. So I'm going to let this sit for another minute or so, and then we're going to be good to go. Alright, I'm going to pull the lid off to check out how we're doing here. And as you can see, I have a really nice, firm egg that is perfectly circular. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it around. And what that does is it kind of starts to loosen up the actual egg itself. Now, what I do is I take a fork, I'm going to take the tongs, and I'm just going to move this right over. Now I'm going to pull the tongs, and I'm going to just put that egg right in there. Watch out, it's going to be hot. And look at that. We have a very nice, perfect circular egg that fits right on top of our biscuit. Looks beautiful. Okay, so let me clean this up and then we're gonna come back to decorate the rest of the egg. All right guys, so we have a perfect egg on top of our perfect biscuit. So we already have the mayonnaise on there, we have the cheese, now we're gonna start decorating it with the rest. So I'm gonna take a piece of bacon and I'm just gonna pull it in half, get a little decorative there. I'm gonna do a little crisscross right on top of that. I already have my cherry tomatoes cut up. So I'm going to kind of decorate those right on top there. Boom. Use about 4 or 5, how many ever you like. There we go. Looks beautiful. Now, the last piece is I'm going to take some of the basil. I'm just going to pull off a couple sprigs and I'm going to put it right across the top there. I like a little bit extra because I love the flavor of basil. Now, what we're going to do is just take a little bit more salt and decorate the top. And then I'm going to put it right on top. You can use any rest of the basil to decorate your plate. And look at that. There you go. You have a homemade tradition of an American breakfast sandwich with egg, cheese, bacon, mayonnaise, tomato, and basil. So feel free to mix it up. Feel free to change in the basil with something else. Feel free to try different meats. Feel free to try the different bread and come up with your own customized one. Start with this one first and then experiment with what you like. If you happen to do that, go to our YouTube page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, make sure that you comment and tell us how you customize your own homemade breakfast sandwich to your own liking. Thank you for watching Discover Eats. My name's Taylor West. Have a good day.